you guys are keeping warm. I feel like we forget how cold it is as soon as we enter our homes, then come out and get shocked every time or every day. Anyway, so I hope you guys are keeping warm. And we're just about to go into another round of paying school fees. So welcome to adulting again. Anyway, welcome to another very controversial episode of Be Different podcast. I have my friends with me. I'll let them introduce themselves and then we can start. You guys, you know you're not guests. Saya, let's start with you.
Okay, great to be here again. My name is Sheila and Yvette. Yeah.
Nice to be here again.
Yeah.
My name is Yvette Wanzu.
So you guys, we're just going to argue for a few minutes about, I'm sure you guys have seen the way the news, the United States are saying abortion is illegal. Is it that? It was reversed, right? That judgment that reversed the legalization and of abortion. And of course it made me think we need to discuss this or just have, some, because here I feel like we hush a lot about stuff, or whatever is being said in spaces where policymakers are and maybe the experts, the doctors and what have you, but how about amongst us? Like, what is the ordinary folk saying? What is the ordinary person thinking and feeling about this? I know it is very sensitive, so we're just going to give our opinions. This is not disclaimer, just to make Sheila comfortable. We are not experts. So these are very personal opinions, and take it as that. Yeah. You said something about us mixing abortion and contraceptives. Yes. For me, when I try thinking about this abortion thing, the whole thing, there's no way I can think about it and not think about contraceptives. And I don't know how to explain that. But there's no way you can tell me to have a discussion on abortion and not bring in the issue of contraceptives. Let me explain why.
Yeah, sure.
A married woman, I have a coil. How many times do we know people who've gotten pregnant with coils? So, and then I say, you know what, I wasn't ready for this. I am sorry, but no, we are not doing this.
Yeah.
So I go in and ask my doctor, terminate this thing, Yeah. We didn't plan, I wasn't ready. In fact, I have a coil for 10 years. So what's going on? So that's, for me, the reason why it's so hard for me to discuss abortion without involving the issue of contraceptives. And for me, contraceptives, I don't even know whether P2 falls in that. But from condoms, it's an emergency one.
Yeah. Which is commonly abused, but okay.
Moving on. But starting from condoms and all these things, the reason why maybe even most of young girls, especially those, acha tuongele wale wako campus.
Yes.
Some of them, it's not that they do not know. Maybe they didn't even, they couldn't afford the P2 at the time. Or they were just careless and yes, they didn't use the condom and what have you. So now they're pregnant and they're using this time to look for money to have abortions. But then they go and take the unsafe route.
Yeah.
As opposed to, abortion is also not the cheapest. As opposed to the one that we think or feel is safe.
Yeah.
Like walking into a hospital and, having the thing. So, Sheila, have I answered your point first?
Yes.
The one for, we cannot talk about abortion without talking about contraceptives. And then I also like the fact that you said, this thing is happening to us, women, and it is our bodies. So I like the fact that you also said you are pro-abortion. Pro-choice.
Yeah.
I also don't mind it. For me, being on this other side of parenthood, please have a choice. As in, it's a choice.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. For me, there's nothing wrong with that. And I don't like You know, when you start, guilt tripping yourself, there's something you said before you started recording, that it's not just about your body, it's also about your mind.
Yes.
And yeah, we can go into it and start discussing then how it was your no, right? At the time.
I want to sit on the fence on this one.
Okay.
And I will give you my reasons.
Yeah.
One, it's not just about your body or whatever. And for me, I tend to look at the human being as a spiritual being. You're not just a body, you're more than a body. So this whole thing, it's also in the mind. It's how, like, I was reading about it before we came here, and they were saying in the US you're given counseling. There's counseling before the procedure, and then you're given 24 hours to go think about it. Why are you given 24 hours to go think about it? It's because you also need to be prepared mentally. You need to understand the consequences, because definitely it's not just about having that thing growing in your body out. It's also post. What happens to you after? Because you're wholesome. You're not just a body. Yeah, that's why I want to sit on the fence for this one. And
you're not yes or no. Why?
Because
why don't you just say no?
I can say no because for those who choose to go that direction, they have their reasons. Okay.
So why can't you say no as Sheila?
Well, this one I honestly don't want to give my yes or no. I want to leave it open to. It's not
do
really
what they want.
Yeah, for everybody to just if you can.
Okay,
if
yeah.
you can
At the end of the day, it boils down. It's a very personal decision. As much as I'm also saying, I'm for abortion, I will not force anyone to have an abortion. Right? Yeah. Like Yvette, even if you're paged right now and I tell you go and have an abortion, if you're not feeling it, you won't go and get it. At the end of the day, you take a stand, it's yes or no, but at the end of the day, it boils down to that person and that personal decision. At the end of the day, it's you going into that hospital room and, you know, having those discussions with your doctor and actually doing it. Sindel?
Yeah. I think for me, how I've always chosen to live my life, and from a very young age, is me, I like to grant people being, meaning I like to allow people to do what feels right to them at the time, because I'm very conscious that in life, you're your own person, it's your own journey. As much as we are all going through the same process, quote unquote, it's such a personal thing. Our journeys are so unique different. And different, right? So depending on the circumstances and how yourself you're feeling, I just like to give someone who's in a position where, okay, now you've conceived, now you're pregnant, the option of saying, you know what, if you choose to keep the pregnancy and you want to go through with it, that's fine. But if you feel like at the moment, yes, you did something, and as a result, now you're pregnant, and here we are, you also have the option of saying, okay, I feel like if I have an option of terminating it, I want to terminate it, and that's okay. That's okay. From personal experience and also just seeing people around me, I've seen a lot of lives, being destroyed as a result of, life is, how people tell you, life is precious, don't terminate it. What if that person is a president? But the truth is, especially and knowing the statistics now, if you're a single mom, let me tell you, when the rubber meets the road, and now you need milk, now you need cereal, now you need sijui, school fees, those people who are giving you motivational talks, they'll be there saying, sijui nini, don't worry, God is there, mtoto ukuja na sahani yake, but it's not practical. And also raising a child is not just the needs, the material needs.
It's not.
It's also how you provide, you come through emotionally, your presence, and trust me, if you're not there, it's not just your life you're ruining, that's a life you've brought into the world that you're ruining. So for me, if we can avoid that,
why not? And you've also reminded me of an incidences where we see young babies, days-old babies thrown in toilets, sijui abandoned on the roads. And the same people who said, mtoto kuja na sahani yake and see, mtoto ni wa nini? Ni wa community. They're the same people who will ask, sasa mbona huyu hakutoa? Amezaa alafu atupe mtoto in a few days and blah, 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 blah. The whole thing that you said about parenting, it really takes a lot from you. I was reading somewhere where someone was saying, parenting is it's also like an investment.
Yes.
If you're not ready to go through that journey, that investment, the way it will drain you as a person, the way it will have to make you like, work on yourself, like kuamka, that thing where you,
It's like there's an awakening.
there's a whole thing, you question yourself, you question who you are, you question your choices, and you have to be intentionally work on yourself, because these kids are not going to do what you're saying, they're going to do what you're doing.
Yeah, that's true.
So if you're not straight up and you wake up and actually be there for them, then how are you going to raise, as in, that's why we're seeing so many, in society, we have people, we are all working. The other day I was telling someone, we are all sick. We are all working, we are all sick. And we are the same people who want to get kids who we do not want, just because I got pregnant, most probably even were forced into that thing, that arrangement, and then now kids are walking around.
Yeah.
I look at it differently. I agree with what both of you have said, but I would want to look at it also as a self-awareness issue. Because honestly, some of these situations people find themselves in, they voluntarily found themselves there. It was not rape, it was not incest, it was voluntary. So why don't you start with the whole self-awareness discussion, so that you know if you're engaging in unprotected sex, there are consequences. Are you ready? Are you not ready? What are the pros and cons? You're not getting there by yourself. You're there with someone, right? So what is their role in this whole business? Is it, and we need to take away the whole burden on the woman that it's you who is carrying the pregnancy. Of course it is, but you need some good level of support. You need a support system with you when you're expectant. You need your partner.
Yeah.
And where are they in this discussion? We are just talking about it, the good and the bad, the evil and the whatever.
Yeah.
I think we need to open up this discussion and see it as wholesome. Okay. It's also about our how do we talk about sex education to our children, to our younger sisters and cousins and all those people who are in campus. We just tell them, don't play with boys. Then it ends there.
Yeah.
What are the consequences? What do we mean by don't play with boys? What more should we tell them that we're not saying? Why are we burying our heads in the sand? Yeah. This discussion ought to be more wholesome. It needs to bring everybody on board. Okay. Not just, right from when you're talking about menstruation, we are preparing these children to get into adolescence and all that. There's going to be changes in their bodies. What do they know? They just find themselves there and they're like, oh my God, now I'm rolling. What should I do? To someone starts flirting with you and you don't even know what they tell you they love you, and you really do not know what that love they're talking about looks like. You've just seen it on the TV, you've seen it on soap operas and other places. So really, are we having this discussion wholesomely, or we are talking about just the consequences that someone got pregnant and now we are here in this discussion? Should you keep the pregnancy or not? That's why I don't want to tell you what to do or what not to do. I think we just need to open up this whole discussion and be honest with ourselves. We may not go into the details of the percentages and everything, but we know people are sexually active.
Yeah.
So, besides the pregnancy, what else could happen?
You could get HIV.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at the new statistics about HIV infections.
No, recently I sent you that. Were we talking?
I saw you post it on Instagram.
Wow, that thing of Kenya being the third highest
Teen pregnancy.
globally in teen pregnancies, and you see that also made me connect the two. Of course, like our teenagers are having sex left, right, and center. Okay, of course, you've said voluntary, and I want to question you on that. Like, it's not all sex is voluntary.
It's consensual to a good extent. I am not disputing that there are places where people are forced and everything.
To go to,
but consensual.
I think it also circles back to what you said about awareness. Because sometimes when you say it's not consensual, it doesn't necessarily have to be a rape, Sometimes it's, and I don't know why we had this narrative of peer pressure in adolescence. Peer pressure in adulting, it's
real.
It's small.
It's in its prime. That's where it is. And I've seen people engage in sexual activity out of feeling odd one out, out of being coaxed. And I wouldn't say, like, in the moment, and as per what we know about sexual activity, we've never been given that know-how, privilege of knowing. When I say I've changed my mind, or it's no, I can stop there.
Exactly.
You know? So I can be there, I can be in the moment. We all know what leads to sexual activity. Maybe you're making out, you're feeling hype, and you just reach a certain point and you're just like, I don't know. But most people don't have that courage for saying, pause, let's take a rain check or something. So if it continues in that moment, imagine it's not consensual. There's so many people who will be there saying, Aki, me, I felt like telling him or her, maybe we do it another time or whatever. And that one instance where you didn't have the courage to say, let's take a pause on it, or let's take a rain check. Now
It
all these
becomes
things
it turns out into
now
something
you're pregnant,
else.
Now you have HIV. Now you have this STD, and now it's an issue. So maybe, and if we are, like you're saying, if we put in the right time to tell you, to educate our children and young people about sex, then maybe we wouldn't have that. We wouldn't find ourselves in that dilemma of I didn't know. Because when someone is pregnant, or when you find yourself nurturing the results that come with unprotected sex, when someone says I didn't know, actually there's so much that is inside that I didn't know.
It's true. Imagine I don't want to, I agree with you. I don't want to start saying, if you got pregnant, you knew what you were doing. I wouldn't, I don't know, that, for me, that is very, because we've already agreed that we don't have comprehensive sexual education.
That is true. Yeah.
Not from home, not from school, not from church, not from anywhere. So we can't tell someone, you knew what you were looking for, or you knew what you were doing when you went and did what you did.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I wouldn't want to just throw around that statement. That's my first. Second, who is having sex with these teenagers? Question.
Good question.
Parents, adults, teachers.
Teenagers themselves.
They're teenagers themselves also, but as a percentage. Wale wenye tuliona COVID, everyone was at home, kwao.
Yeah.
Incest, nini. These are the same people, Sheila, we expect to receive lessons from. Sindio? The sex. But are they telling us about it as teens, or are they doing things to us?
You said it very correctly that we are a sick society.
Yeah.
And that just proves it, because if you're a teacher, you need to be an authority to these children, then you're the one who, is making advances to minors.
Yeah.
So then how are you not a sick person?
And you're assuming,
and
you're assuming that, nowadays there's this huge assumption that these kids just know too much. Right? Yeah. We just our watoto wa siku hizi, they know too much, you know? And yet they're just, honestly, they're empty things walking. They don't have knowledge, and they're doing things. You see, when I hear on the news at teenagers, 10-year-olds having sexual orgies, you're just like, oh my goodness, what's going on? So do those ones even understand what they are doing?
And I think there's also so there are those ones who know what they're doing. There are those ones who, oops, it was pressure, now I'm here. But there's also the aspect of poverty. So there are people who got pregnant because they were looking for money to buy sanitary towels. There are people who've gotten pregnant because they were looking for money to get a snack like mandazi or something. So sometimes you engage in that activity because you're trying to get something. If, like, circles back to what you're saying, an authority figure. You come and tell your teacher, today, last night we didn't eat. Today in the morning I'm having a hard time concentrating. Could you please, help me get a snack? And so now this person just feels, because you're asking for a snack, me, what do I get in return?
Transactional.
Yeah, transactional. So it gets like, when you find yourself in that position, like there's so much that, that makes our children engage in such things.
Something else came to mind as you were talking, Yvette. The homes that we are raising these kids in, what we are doing as adults.
Yeah.
where are they learning the things from? What we are watching, and PDAs. And now, because we are so westernized, you know, we can do our things over there on the couch because, you know, fire is burning. And these are the same people who, when I said about parenting and not being ready to correct, to act, to clean up your act, because your kids are watching. So you continue watching the same movies and you're sitting there with your kids. You continue, you know, engaging or hanging out or hosting parties, and people are coming as couples and they're doing things. And the kids are watching. Some guests go and sleep in your kids' bedrooms, and the kids are watching, and the kids are seeing these things because now they're the ones who seem to know things.
Yeah.
And they go out there and, you know, they're like, yeah, let's do the deed. And mobile phones and internet. Yeah. And especially that exposure then creates that fake knowledge, or that thing we are saying they know too much.
I don't think there's also a lot that's wrong with the exposure. Maybe to some extent it's harmful, but it's also you as a person, because we can only shield our children for so long. Though it's a nasty world, it's a jungle out there. So you will shield them, and then now they are adults, they're coming out, they're just like, where? So it's not so much what you're exposed to, it's what you know, and it's the values that you have. We should really shy away from having conversations about sex with our children.
We should
stop from shying away from having conversations about sex with our children, because however young they are. Because if you don't tell them, someone else will. And something I learned from watching, there was a video I was watching about sex education. The playground has now become a hub for knowledge. So children as young as 6, 5, you'll hear them telling people, actually, you know, adults kiss, you know, and they're speaking a lot of things that even you as an adult just want to speak in whispers. Our children are having those conversations. And then now, because they know, mommy or daddy knows, when they come and ask you, you start telling them things like, those are conversations for adults. Who told you that? Ama, go and ask auntie. We start delegating because you're feeling uncomfortable. So we should start giving our children knowledge, concrete knowledge, call things as they are. This is, I don't know if we're allowed to use such words.
It's okay.
This is a penis, this is the vagina, this is the vulva. Call things as they are. Sex, as much as it's taboo and we shy away from it, it's just a bodily function. It's just what it is. So children ask you, mommy, where do children come from? And most of the time, they'll ask you just as much as they want to know. So you don't over-answer and don't under-answer. So for instance, they'll come and ask you, mommy, where do babies come from? You tell them, babies come from mommy's belly. And then maybe if they feel curious enough, they'll ask you, and who puts them in mommy's belly? How do they get to mommy's belly? So you say, daddy puts the baby in mommy's belly, and then the baby grows in mommy's belly. If they don't ask more than that, just pause there. When they are ready to come to want to know more, they'll ask. But the way we circle around conversations and we put false narratives, and then now we leave them out into the world to go and find out for themselves, is how we are getting here. I think if you know what this is and what that is and what sexual activity involves, even if you're exposed to certain things, you can decipher for yourself, this is not for me to do now. I know what it is, I know what it's about, but I don't feel like I want to do that now. But sometimes some of the things that our children do just even come back to curiosity. Mommy didn't tell me, let me go and find out for myself. So sometimes even us as caregivers, as parents, let's make our children knowledgeable. So when they're exposed to these things, because they will be, and as mortifying as it is for me to say as a mom, as young as we can't even imagine, 10, 9, whatever, they will be exposed to it. So how are we armoring them? They need to have knowledge. And it's not about niwajuaji or they know too much. Let's give them knowledge, concrete knowledge, things that make sense, that are viable, and then, we hope that they'll make the right decision. Because you can't police them and you can't follow them around and you can only shield them for so long.
So where did we learn about abortion again?
I agree. Where did we?
Learn.
Learn about it. Wow. Okay. For me, what I remember is I used to hear, there was like a song some time back. Why are you laughing? I'm being honest. There was like a song some time back about some chick went to campus. Okay, no, that's much later. There was, yeah, I remember there was a song that, I think that was about class 7. That, Mommy, why are you killing me? Something like that. It went something like that.
Was it through like my spoken word? Like, is it like...
It was in church.
Oh, in church.
Yeah.
In your church?
In a Catholic church. I was in a Catholic school, so that's where I learned from that song.
I'm not sure where I heard about abortion. Maybe taught in school.
No, I don't think so.
We were taught about conception, but we weren't taught about abortion. Personally, I heard from it from my mom, because my mom was doing a lot of work around sexual education and contraception.
Yeah.
So in class 5, that's when she was in the peak of it and she was doing it. So she gave me this book about the dignity of human sexuality and HIV and AIDS.
How do you remember the topic?
Yes, I remember that. It was a novel.
Wow.
It was a book.
Oh.
So I read it, and then, so of course you see things coming up like abortion, stuff like that. So I asked, and she told me what it is. And of course I used to hear it from gossip. I was at your house the other day. How children like to listen on conversations. When the chama conversations. So I'm just like, oh, so kutoa mimba ni. So that's when I was exposed. Both from a teachable concept, but also through the society, gossip, rumors from hearing, even hearing when you're a teenager, hearing nani ali flash. So now that's when I started knowing about stuff about abortion.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, yeah, even me, I remember from gossip. Yes, huyu alitoa nini? Ati ya huyu alitoa. Sasa nilikuwa nashindwa hii nini natolewa. And then it went from the societies, whatever, and then to these really bad stories, I think on the news, about people doing funny things with hangers, people removing, aborting with hangers or funny things. Like, they were just very gory and very ugly stories surrounding abortion.
I remember a time we went to my pal's home. We had just finished from 4 and the mom was like, sijui nani anakunywa majani plain. Very conk majani.
Very conk tea.
Yeah, then that was apparently one of the methods. So we were like, yeah.
Hoping that it will come out.
Yes.
The biggest question I had for this was, they're actually two-pronged, because for me it was really hard to think about abortion without contraceptives, is, will you allow your kids to either have contraceptives? Like, the way, I've seen it in this abroad, where as soon as you're sexually, your parent deems you as, you've gotten to that age where you're sexually active, or maybe you started your menses, they enroll you. Inaitwaje ile kitu ya monthly? Hapa, I've forgotten its name. The tab we take, Femiplan?
That's a brand. But that's,
okay, that's,
like,
okay, like those ones.
Like oral contraceptives.
Yes, the monthly ones. Like your parent enrolls you to that. Where you just take it every day. Ukisonga. What do you think about that? And can you?
I don't think I want to look at it as yes or no again. I'll tell you my reason. I want to start this conversation now, moving forward, so that when we get to being sexually active, we are already having this conversation. We know the options that are available. We know, okay, let me not go that direction, it's a whole different one. But I want to start it intentionally, the parenting. Let's have these discussions moving forward. And you said something about telling the children, calling things as they are, but in an age-appropriate manner. So we go adding the knowledge as we progress, so that by the time she's getting to that point where she now feels like she's mature enough to go ahead and have intercourse, then we have had this discussion. It's not someone or peers or whatever giving her this information. Yeah. So I want to be very intentional about it, so that even when it gets to that point where we're talking about pregnancy, we know the options. We know how we got here, we know what we are looking at in the future.
You're not answering my question.
I'm not going to answer you as a yes or no.
You're not answering my
I will
question.
not give you a yes or no.
Something she said quickly before I answered your question that really got me thinking.
Yeah.
You said they need to get that information from us and also not their peers. But I also want to pose a challenge to us.
Yeah.
In our communities and in our small spheres of influence, because not all of us have a title, can you also be that person who, if someone feels they can't talk to their mom, they can't talk to their dad, they can run and say, let me go and tell Nekesa, Amy, I've been having these thoughts. That has really helped so many people. I've seen my mom be that for so many people. I've seen people come to my mom when they have STDs and they don't know what to do. People come to my mom and say, can you come help me go talk to my mom because I'm pregnant and I don't know what to do. And it makes such a huge difference. So whether it's for kids, I hope we can try and be that small safe space for people to come and be able to maybe get knowledge or advice or just offload and say, hey, me, I'm in this dilemma, I don't know what to do. I hope we can do that.
That's a good one.
So it's not just the parents and the peers, even us, we can be that. I want to say, as a girl mom, that I give my child as much knowledge as I can as she progresses, as she grows. I would allow contraception. However, I wouldn't encourage it. I'm a very strong believer, as I said, in doing what you need to do at that time, because life has its seasons. And that's something I carried myself, I did myself when I was younger, and I would want to pass that on to my child. Whatever season you're in, maximize it. I feel like if you're in school and you're studying and you're young and you can do so many other things, explore your talents, know what you're about. Are you pro this? Are you pro that? Are you an introvert? Are you an extrovert? You have so much time to discover yourself, to experiment, to do this. Maybe sexual activity shouldn't be a priority. Another thing that I would tell her, and I tell my younger cousins as well, because me, I'm an only child, is with everything comes its consequences. So if you're young, you're in school, fine, you want to have sex, you're feeling like you're on fire, ama you have this guy who you really like and that's how you want to express yourself, you want to express your love for each other. Are you ready for the consequences that come with it? If you get pregnant now, me, I don't want to be responsible. I want to be responsible for you. I don't want to be responsible for your child. Can you handle that on your own? So if you feel like you can't handle the consequences, imagine just hold on. But if at all you feel like you can't, come, we talk, we figure it out. I think if you just lay down how it is for your child, tell them, fine, you can have contraceptives, but it's not just the pregnancy you should be worried about. There's HIV, mama, there's STDs.
There's hepatitis that no one talks about.
Yes, thank you. I'm glad you brought that up. And it's not every day, if we're being honest, you'll be quick to use a condom because that's the only thing that's it's just 99% that will protect you from all of that you can use. So to prevent yourself from all this drama and what ifs and so you just wait, just hold off. But if at all she can't, then I will present those options and I will allow it. And I would rather that information comes from me and we seek it out together than she feels like she can go and do things in secret. And then now when things are exploding is when now me as a parent am aware. So yes, I would allow it.
I want to ask I don't know whether you'll be comfortable answering this again. I want to ask it's open, very open. Think back to your first sexual experience. If you can, for me, think back. Describe for me your headspace at that time. Yvette, know that you've just answered about how your girl mom, you're going to girl her. Think back to your first sexual experience. Yeah. Tell me your headspace. Then, just try as much as you can to describe how your headspace was. Did you know what you were doing? Just take us through.
Yes, I had so me, I was just saying, kama niko shule wacha tu nisome. Mimi yaki sahi, kama niko ready kufanya hizo. But as soon as I finished, I was like,
what is it?
So I finished. I started doing research, asking my cousins. So how was it?
What happens?
What happens? I do just get into this zone. I even watched porn because I was like,
Before, ukijitayarisha.
after research, I was there watching.
You packed yourself with knowledge.
Is it how
So,
we sit
yako
in
hakuna.
movies? No, just like, I was trying to do research.
So were you 100% you knew what you were doing before?
Because I texted the person I was seeing that morning and I said, we used to call it the point of no return. Because I was very clear.
No
the point
return.
of no return.
Oh, okay.
So, you know how you make out with someone and then things get steamy and you're like, hey, hapa kwenye tumefika.
Yeah.
So I told him, I want to go beyond the point of no return.
Yeah.
And he told me, are you sure? I said, yes. He told me, sleep on it. Let's talk nikitoka class saa sita. And I text him again, I tell him, you know what, me, I think I want to do this. He said, okay, fine. Come by the house at 2. I said, okay, cool. Now I was there even, I don't know my white dress. I was feeling like...
It was a whole occasion. Yako inafaa kuwa na anniversary.
Drum rolls.
I know. Anyway. So I go to his house, he pakuas, we eat, we have conversation. Because he could tell I was tense. Yeah. So we have conversation.
Tense after all that.
I know. Vitu kwa ground zinakuanga different after all that research.
Kwa ground.
So we talk, we look out, and he asks me, so are you sure? I remember, and I'm so grateful that he asked me, are you sure? Like you're down? I said yes.
Shock on you?
Shock on me. Yeah,
Wow.
Although
I think you're 1 in 50. It's so interesting to hear someone who really like prepared themselves like that. Sheila, you want to talk about your headspace?
I think so. For me, I was always the youngest in class.
Yeah.
So I was very curious. I would ask the rest. There were some, when you were in college, who already had kids. I was in college when I was 17. The others were 20-something. So I was really curious. And there was one mama who, she was like, should be, in her 30s or 40s, and we were teenagers. Okay. So she told me, this is a very personal experience. So even if I share my experience with you, it will not help. Okay. And the rest walikuwa huko wanajichocha, sijui nini, you know, hype. Yeah. There was a lot of hype in that class, and people were, there was lots of peer pressure, if I remember correctly. So people coming and telling you the way their weekend was lit, sijui nini. You're there, okay, sawa. What does this lit mean? Yeah. Okay, we move on to much later. Even after that, still, I didn't give in to the peer pressure. But when I was even working, that's when I decided, so what is this business about? Yeah. And there was this girl who was my friend, and she was telling me, where Sheila this weekend? Hi!
Things went down.
Yes. I'm like, so what happened? She describes, then me, I'm like, okay, that doesn't really sound like fun, but anyway, so we'll see. Then I remember one thing I told her. I told her, I hope it's something you will not regret at 40. It got to her, maybe she thought I was being judgmental or something. Yeah. So when my turn came, and I decided to go all the way, I shared. Like, okay, I hope you won't regret it when you're 40. I'm like, yeah.
She said that?
Yes. So to the details, for me, I don't know. It's brutally honest, but it was a raw deal. It's not what I expected. It was a raw deal. Yeah. I felt like all this hype was just hype. All this...
Did you feel like you knew what you were doing?
Yes. I knew what I was doing, and I even expected more. That's why I'm saying it was a raw deal.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh. So like you really... Me during my first time, honestly, I wouldn't even say and pretend. I was just here to learn. So I wasn't...
you didn't exactly.
But I was really...
You brought yourself there, but...
So why you like... participating, like you were no wonder you're saying
you knew what you were doing and you
expected. I was doing and I was expecting more. But I think the expectation, the bar had been set high from izo kujichocha. You know, the people say sijui nini.
People are telling you stuff.
Yeah, and also the person was also telling me this lots of stuff that got my head really. How do I put it? You know, excited and looking forward to so much.
Yeah.
So fast forward to. When the rubber meets the road, for me, it was a road deal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. For me, it was pressure. From who? I can't even. I was working at the time. Not working, yeah, for real. Working is you finish school, you're waiting. So I remember I used to work at this office, and the men there were thirsty. Oh my goodness. So like Sunday to Sunday, all I could hear, okay, sex. Thinking, is this how the world is?
Yeah.
My mind was not there. Anyway, so that time I had a kajama who had followed me. In this town, he followed me, he came home, he did what he did. So finally, I was just like, then let's get over and done with. As in, history die. Ni kama hivi nakuanga imeandikika hapa. Like, let's just end it. Where. So no, me, I thought I knew what I was going to experience. I didn't know. And according to me, mi nikitoka hapo, I knew we had not had sex.
Why?
I believe because I think I'm like Sheila. I expected more, or
But what
I
is
don't.
more? What is more?
Because I think it was too painful for me.
Okay.
I fought the whole time, and I was just like, yeah. Then it's not happening. Wacha tu niende home.
Was there? So if you say I expected more.
No, maybe
Did you expect to feel a certain way? Did you expect to do something? That
Yes, you see, the stories being peddled around is that it's really sweet, it's irresistible. This thing that people are talking about every day in the office, not working, just talking about sex, must be something that's really nice and not this painful.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So the pain for me was extremely, it was too much. No one mentioned pain. Yeah. So it was that part just, let's, So yeah, it happened. And that's why I asked you guys, where was your headspace? Did you think at that time to call your mom?
Actually, we had left her in the house.
Did you think to call, did you
me
think, that's where I'm headed with this thing.
Yeah.
Sheila, did you think to call someone at that time and tell them?
Never.
I've decided.
Besides this friend of mine I'm telling you about, there was no one else because it was supposed to be a top secret.
So why is it that we think that our girls will have it differently? That's where I'm headed.
For me personally, I think my mom and I have a very strange relationship for.
Yeah,
It's like she
you
will
told me
know.
it was very.
It's like she will know, you know. So it's very, of course, there's respect because she's the parent and I'm the child. But she makes it very easy for me not to feel like certain normal things that you do are like I should hide it. So I think she knew because we had a policy in our home. If you have a boyfriend, he should come to the house. Now she will have a problem if she finds you unajificha huko nyuma ya ploti, sijui you're doing what. Now that she will have a problem with. But if you have a boyfriend, bring him to the house. You people have your tea, drink your whatever you're drinking, your juice, watch TV. She will even ask him, hey Nani, how is school? How is your family? Nini. Just also for accountability's sake, but also for you to feel safe. And for her, I think even in a way to monitor, you know, just to see. So on that day, I went. He drove me back home.
No, my question is, would
would
you have that conversation with her immediately
after? No.
Before?
Before. Actually, now I'm going to lose my virginity. Okay, weird. No.
Are you expecting?
But I had it with my cousin. I think it's because as we. I don't know,
You're
we just talk too
that
much.
safe space for someone.
Because even when I had my first kiss, I was there texting her, hey, guess what? Hey! Yeah. And even when I was anticipating doing it, I was like, so how do you do it? How do you know? So I remember she said something very funny. Until you use this part of your hand to teach you how to kiss. So I was there practicing. So even after I did it, I was like,
That's your safe space.
So that's my
your
safe
cousin
space,
is your
not my
age
mom.
mate.
She's like 2 years older than me.
But are you seeing my point?
Oh,
Are you guys seeing my
right.
point?
Yeah.
Are you guys seeing my point?
I don't think you
That
have to
even-
report. But if
Not
you want to
report.
share, you
Not
can.
report.
Uh-huh.
I'm not bringing the issue of reporting.
Yeah.
My point is, no matter how much knowledge you give your child, you think at that point you'll be their safe space or their safe haven, or
Yeah, if at that point, for me, what will give me peace is knowing that they're well informed. So if they choose to share that with me, that's on them. If they choose not to, then that's on them. But me personally, as a parent,
mwafunza.
nimekufunza, utaperish hapa for lack of knowledge. Wewe unajua, so we cheza kama wewe. Because at the end of the day, you're an individual. Me, I'm a mom, I'm not living your life for you. If you choose to share that with me or not, that's fine. Because children are not property. It's just things that we've been entrusted to give values, to nurture, to provide for.
Then they go and do their thing. Apart from now that question, my next question was whether, okay, now they've gone, they've done it. So you equipped them with knowledge, thank you very much. And even maybe they took the, maybe they took the things, and we've seen these things fail. So they are home. Ni siku gani mtu find out ako pregnant? 1 month end. Miss. They've missed. They come back. Mom, I'm expectant. I'm expecting. And for you to imagine how that conversation will look like, and whether you'll give them the options, all the options, considering what we're talking about. Sheila.
There will be no judgment. That's one thing I can assure you. There will be no judgment. Well, I might have my own feelings and opinions and reservations, but it's not like I'm not going to kill you. Okay? Yeah, so we'll explore the options and then we'll see. But whichever way we choose to go, we must be sure that we are aware of the consequences. Why I don't want to go so directly into saying I support is because I know there are consequences. Some of them could be lifelong. We've talked about. I agree. There are things we don't hear mentioned as much, but there are situations where, I don't know if you guys remember that story of that girl they called, I don't know who, but she had an abortion and then she had kidney failure and she died. Yeah, so the parents were now suing the doctor and there was all this hulabaloo. So we need to be alive to the fact that some of those things could happen. It could go either way. Yes.
It's true.
So
That's true.
I don't want to say yes or no. I don't want to. But for me, there will be no judgment. That's one thing I know for sure. Yeah. So we'll explore the options moving forward and the consequences as well.
I like what you said about there will be no judgment. I never
like
thought of
that.
That never came across. I would like to engage them because by the time now you're going to have sex, you're a woman. So let's talk as a mother and a child, a mother and child, but also let's talk as women.
Adults.
Yes, as adults. So what I want her to tell me, how is she feeling? What is her headspace? What does she think she wants to do? I will also respond from a point of knowledge and tell her this is what I think I would like for you to do, but also these are your options. And for me, whatever she chooses to do, I will support. Having her aware of all the options and all the pros and all the cons, and then from there, we'll deal with it according to what she wants. So if she says we are terminating, what are our safe options? I'm so glad in this my life. I have managed to get someone who was a psychologist for a hospital that does safe options. So I learned a lot from dating him. It was a very useful but very useless relationship. The useful part is I learned so much about safe abortions. So we will extend that option. If she says she wants to terminate, we're like, okay, what are our options? How can we do it safely? How do we make sure you get the necessary psychological support, your body, whatever comes out of it, imagine we will just deal with it. But I want it to come from her. I want the decision to come from her. So it's not my mom said we give birth, now leave and you help me raise, but we will. Although it's every parent's prayer that you don't ever have to have that conversation with your child. But this is life and things are happening. And nowadays I like the way karma is just doing the most, but also the way life is just unfolding at home. It's not now at the doorstep. You know how you say, Danny's daughter got pregnant. So what will you saying?
Imagine.
Wow, said me he too. So now It's a conversation I hope I never have to have with her. I hope she atajiweka and she'll do things at their own time and her seasons will go well. But if it happens, we'll handle it. It's fine. And whatever decision she makes, I will support. I will.
Okay. You know, I'm just okay. First, let me first answer the question myself. I don't know. Me, I think I'll judge kidogo. I'll judge kidogo. Like, what? You went and had sex, my daughter? Okay. I missed our danganya. I'm an African mother. So, yeah, I'll get shocked. I will judge kidogo. And then I'll come back down. Okay, it's even very hard to just picture. I don't know why, to imagine. But, Mimi, it will first depend on their age.
Yeah.
My advice will depend on their age, let me be honest. And then secondly, now that you said we are different people and going through different seasons, right now where I'm standing, of course I will ask her all those questions of the headspace where she was at when she was having this sex. Was it a one-time thing? Is it a relationship? Is it what? Me, I will learn background information. Alafu sasa tukuje tukifika hapa. Therefore, then, I know where to put my weight because I will put weight on something, on one of the decisions or one of the directions to take or taken. Because now that I've seen and I've learned and anyway, so I wanted us to do parting shots. Thinking, you know, all around, you've had yourself, you've had what you've said, and I know you may repeat yourself, but then again, now basing on you as, you know, the woman who you have coming from, thinking about the generation before and after.
I want to just go back to what I said in the beginning. Life is very, how we live our lives and our journeys are very personal and very different. And sex is just a small portion of what life is as a whole. And we find ourselves exposed to it or practicing it in different areas or in different moments in our lives due to different circumstances. But I hope that whoever chooses to do it, when you do it, it will be not out of pressure or anything, it will be out of a personal decision or you wanting to do it. It's very sad to know that some people don't have enough knowledge, some people find themselves doing it because they need to survive or whatever. I just hope that people will be well equipped and self-aware so that you just don't go into it blindly. That's my prayer for every young woman, but also every young man. And then now also being that times are really evolving and we're getting access to things that we didn't have. I want to appeal and be able to appeal to young people or even older people. Let's not abuse some of the privileges that we have. If we have the privilege of having safe abortions, please don't be that person who's just there at the clinic every or January or there, February or there, because now we have access to safe abortions. Just be responsible for your own life. Make decisions that make sense and favor you and just do right. Do right. It's hard, sometimes it's never easy, but do right and do things from a point of knowledge and be aware when you're abusing the privileges that you have. Again, it's a very personal choice, but never be scared to do what is right by you, because at the end of the day, it's your life, it's your journey, you're doing it, and you know what is right.
Thank you, Yvette.
I want to take a different direction. And I don't know why the burden is always on the woman. So-and-so's daughter got pregnant. So-and-so terminated a pregnancy. Where are the men in this discussion? We need to bring them to the table so that we are having congruent messages. We are not telling the girls something different and telling the boys something different, and then we expect them to coexist in the same space somehow. So I would also want to bring in something about parenting from the male perspective. I was having a discussion not so long ago with someone, and he was telling me, if I had a daughter, I would be the one to show her stuff. take her out so that mwanaume asikuja amdanganye na chakula. That statement for me was deep. Mwanaume asimdanganye na chakula eti amemnunulia chakula, so she's, you know, it's transactional because of something as basic as food. So he was telling me that if the men are present and they raise the standard, we're not going to have this kind of conversations that we have, you know, in hushed tones. You know, if we bring them to the table, to the parenting, and they're also involved. He was telling me, it looked like a very basic discussion, but I thought about it later. Like, has your daughter ever seen the father in the kitchen? Ameva apron, today is the one, you know, anapika. Has he ever told her, today we are going to sijui wapi to just have something simple, a drink maybe, you know, so that because this is the man that this child is exposed to as the first person. So maybe she'll be looking for someone who is like the father or someone who is not like the father. I've had discussions with women who are telling me, I decided from the word go that I'm not going to date a man who's like my father. We nicknamed him SP because every time sina pesa. So you ask him something, sina pesa. So while she may not be looking for other things, she's looking for someone who is not like the father. And there's this other one who has a different perspective. Oh, my dad. I envy such women. I hear them. And it's not my father. They say, oh, my dad. My dad used to do 1, 2, 3. My dad used to do 3, 4, 5. He used to take us here. He used to tell us this and the other. And it's totally different. I believe you've had the point to compare. It's totally different. So where are the men in this discussion? I would want them to be present. We appreciate that there's, you know, food has to be brought on the table and school fees has to be paid and all that. I appreciate that, but where is your position as the father of these children, both male and female? Because we're having situations where young men are also looking for sponsors. Yeah. So where are we as a society? And then we just see the consequences. We don't see the process because no one just finds themselves there. It's a process. It starts somewhere. So where are we in this whole discussion? So that by the time we are talking about pregnancy, then we have everybody on board. We are reading from the same script. We all agree or disagree about this or the other. But irrespective of whichever stance we take, we are at par. We are talking about this, you know, from a common,
I like the fact that you've brought up the issue of safe spaces has come up more than once in this conversation, and I've spoken to you about it more than once. And that thing of safe spaces, it has really, I feel like it's part and parcel of having or living an intentional life. And it's something that we all need to find ways of doing as soon as now. Like if you don't have a safe space, if you don't have a place where you can actually just go and process your thoughts, like speak your thoughts the way they are, not speak sanitized things or what you think we want to hear. Somewhere where you can just go and like completely be your naked self, you know. Because I've realized so much is happening around us, and it's happening very fast, and it's not about to stop. And if you don't have that safe space where you can go and unpack, like we're saying, we're going through different seasons, so inaweza kupata anywhere, you know, and you're at that place, and you feel like you're saying, at the point you will feel like your circumstances are different and special and unique and what have you, and maybe in that safe space, people can help you unpack, or people can help you see the bigger picture, or people can help you say, enyewe, hapo, I'm with you. Enda tu ufanye hivi, you know, enda tu ABC, just go and do it, and something like that. So for me, I just want to say something that there are days I've been the most saved according to me, but I have never ever believed that abortion should be out of limits or choice or whatever. Me, at the end of the day, hata nikaenda anywhere, me, please, if you can have it, have it. When you can have it, when you've thought about it, as Sheila and Yvette have preached here. But me, I'm just saying. But me, I'm just saying, I'm just putting it out there. It should be a right. and we should know about it, and we should know the safe choices, because there's all this, like we were just, I really like that we've actually said how we encountered. So it wasn't taught, we had in the streets, and then we came to encounter the unsafe and the consequences first before we knew there's a safe option. And like Yvette has said, let's not abuse the privileges, but I like that we have attempted to have this discussion. So thank you so much for taking the time out to listen and to watch. Please remember to subscribe, like, comment, and share, and throw stones in the comments. Thank you and have a good one.